Well, welcome and thank you for being here. Today we are meeting to conduct a pre-proposal information session that covers the King County ARPA Youth Suicide Prevention Behavior Change Campaign. Today's agenda, we will cover the RFP background. We will also go through the Zoom grants application basics, and then we will have time to go through questions and answers. My name is Erin Carosa, and I am the project program manager, also the suicide prevention coordinator at King County Department of Community and Human Services. Andrea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Andrea Howerton. I use she, her pronouns. I work in the Department of Community and Human Services Contracts and Procurement Unit, and I'm assisting Erin on this RFP.
Thanks, Andrea. So the background on this RFP is that we were given American Rescue Plan Act dollars to address and mitigate adverse COVID-19 mental health outcomes amongst peer crowds that have experienced the most risk for youth suicide ideation and suicide attempts in King County. So through an empathetic research and evidence-based psychographic behavior change campaign, we really seek to reach youth who are between the ages of 13 and 24. The RFP will cover activities which will be required, including conducting research and developing an at-risk peer crowd media campaign or campaigns. Also to develop, test, and launch the media campaigns based on the results of that research, as well as to facilitate influencer engagement activities and to also develop a complementary community-facing set of campaign activities.
Erin, I just wanted to, I forgot to say that please feel free to use the chat feature if you have any questions. We're going to be recording all the questions, whether spoken or in writing, and we'll hopefully respond to them here. And if we don't, they will all be posted on Zoom grants, all questions that we receive on Zoom grants. So sorry I didn't say that at the beginning, but.
That's great. Thanks, Andrea. That's super helpful. More on the RFP is that the primary strategy for this body of work is to conduct evidence-based, empathetic, psychographic behavior change campaign research with affected peer crowds to inform the creation of motivational and action-oriented messaging. And we don't know who these peer crowds are yet, so that is part of the research strategy that will have to be implemented by the successful bidder. Additionally, the purpose is to engage King County's highest risk youth peer crowds on relevant media channels to take action, implement healthier behaviors, and then also utilize available resources. This evidence and research-based psychographic peer crowd campaign strategy was selected as the most promising media campaign approach to influence positive behavior changes to prevent youth suicide in King County, while also preventing potential harm with peer crowds in this sensitive topical environment. Additionally, the sensitive nature of the campaign further highlights the need to really understand our audience, to empathetically influence behavior change with those peer crowds who are at risk for suicide, as well as behavioral health issues that could lead to suicide, while also making sure that we affirm personal experiences and identities of the youth who are most at risk. Now, this is probably not new information, but general campaigns and approaches don't message in a way that we know facilitates behavior change. And general campaigns don't have a demonstrated evidence base of effectiveness. Therefore, this body of work will not be a general campaign approach, and a general campaign approach will not be considered for this body of work. Ultimately, effective behavior change campaigns demonstrate that a potential change in behavior for a target peer crowd audience is not only empowering, but it's desirable, easy, and achievable. And it doesn't cause damage or disagreement to the audience and their personal identity. So this project truly seeks to research and understand which at-risk youth peer crowds exist in King County, so that motivational messaging and campaign creative projects can be developed, tested, and placed to achieve the goals of this RFP. The second piece of this body of work is the development of a secondary community campaign strategy that is really an enhancement. It would be to enhance community supports. So this would be a set of materials and activities which would essentially equip youth and adult helper populations or youth peers and adults who are there to support youth in the community to prevent youth suicide by helping them understand how to approach, talk to, and provide support or referral to resources when they see a youth who's struggling. These activities and products will intentionally be unassociated with the primary campaign's brands, as the audience and related activities are different. The objective of these community-facing efforts is to universally increase community supports for youth through their peers. And these are the peers that are not necessarily part of that at-risk peer group. It would be a low-risk set of peers and supportive adult populations. Although we do want peers within the at-risk peer group to reach out and support their peer crowd with their mental health and provide access to resources. This is a little bit different. This would be a peer group that would be low risk, who would be basically equipped through these activities and these products to know how to intervene, know how to approach, know how to have a conversation, and also know what resources they can point someone who might be struggling to. Now, there are some minimum requirements for this body of work and to apply. The first item is that applicants should be a full service public health behavior change marketing agency with an interconnected or in-house research strategy, creative media production, implementation, management, analytics, and evaluation team. The second item is that the entire team, including research and strategy, should have a public health research background. The third item is that the agency does not contract out any of its research. The fourth item is that the agency has at least 7 years experience developing and implementing evidence and research-based youth psychographic peer crowd public health behavior change campaigns with evaluation outcomes of proven positive changes amongst prioritized youth campaign peer crowds who are engaged in risky behaviors. Minimum requirements continued. The next item is that the agency has at least 7 years experience working directly with youth in order to conduct research, to guide the development, inform the design, the campaign approach, and also align motivational psychographic creative campaign messages to achieve those positive public health behavior change outcomes amongst targeted high-risk peer crowds. The next item is that the agency should have a demonstrated commitment to equity and social justice, or ESJ, and also working with communities that are most impacted by COVID-19, as well as institutional and systemic racism. And then the other item is that the agency that's applying should have a demonstrated ability to provide campaign products that meet the needs of individuals who identify as low income, BIPOC, LGBTQIA+, disabled, having disabilities, neurodiversity, or those with identities from other marginalized groups.
Thanks, Erin. That was really great information. Does anyone have any questions based on what this RFP is about and what we are looking for before we move on? Do you want me to read the chat to you, Erin?
That'd be lovely. Thank you.
Sure. It says, thank you for your time. We have a trusted research partner that we work with on our behavior change campaigns, but they are not part of our agency and would be a contractor. It sounds like we do not qualify.
Let's see. Well, I appreciate the comment, question, statement. Generally speaking, we're looking for someone who has an in-house research team. There is a lot of modification that I anticipate for all of the campaign creative. And so it will be most efficient for this work and this body of work to have an internal team who can go back to the drawing board, go back to the research participants, have that established relationship with those research participants. So if there is a proposed solution and you would like to apply and throw your hat in the ring, I welcome you to, but it is one of the minimum requirements. If there's a way that you can mitigate that, then I welcome you to apply or to provide a rationale or justification for what you do have and the resources and processes that you do have. But the minimum requirements are as such. But I can say also, if you were the only applicant, then we would consider your application.
Okay. And please continue if you have any more questions to write them in the chat, or you can unmute as well. So here is the tentative RFP timeline. The RFP was released on last week on 10/7. Last week, yeah, this month is moving along here. Today is October 13th for the pre-proposal session. The last day to submit written questions to be posted on Zoom Grants is 10/24, and you can use the Ask Admin feature in Zoom Grants, or you can email me directly, my email will be later in this presentation. Proposals are due in Zoom Grants on November 3rd by 2 p.m. And then we will review those proposals between the November 4th through November 18th. We'll hopefully have notifications of selection or non-selection in late November, early December, with an anticipated contract start date of January 1, but I believe that is tentative as well.
Thanks, Andrea. Let's see.
I think this is me as well. So for this process, what will happen after the proposals are due, your proposals will go through an administrative review. This will determine that all the applicants meet the minimum qualifications and that everything submitted is complete and responsive. If that all checks out, it will then move on to the review panel to score and review based on the criteria in the RFP. Then the review panel will have a discussion based on the scoring that we'll then submit to our DCHS leadership, the recommendations, and they will make the final approvals to move forward for award.
Thanks, Andrea. So we have some rating criteria and some sections. Section 2 of the rating criteria is as follows. I'm just going to go through the descriptions. You can see the weights and the total weighted points to the right of the screen on the slide. So the first rating criteria is equity and social justice. The second, social and health disparities. The third is youth peer crowd segmentation, age strategy. The fourth is recruitment and engagement strategies. The fifth is project description. The sixth is agency capacity. The seventh is expertise. The eighth is outcomes and evaluation. The ninth is psychographic peer crowd research relevance. The 10th is evidence-based research tools. The 11th is social media platform strategies. The 12th is established, trusted peer crowd relationships. The 13th is disabled and disabilities access. The 14th is language and cultural access. The total points for section 2 are 260. And the rating criteria for section 3 includes the work plan and budget, and you can see the total points to the right of the slide for each section. For the work plan, it's 80, for the budget it is 20, and the total points for section 3 is 100. So you can see total max points for the complete application is 360. And that is total max points that can be scored. The next section covers more information about American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, requirements. So these are federal dollars. And if you look to attachment A, it goes over the federal award terms and conditions. It's a little bit lengthy, but it is a very detailed and helpful document in regards to what requirements are tied to these federal dollars. Additionally, everyone should note that ARPA funds do come with significant reporting and documentation requirements. So awarded programs must comply with both federal requirements and also the contractual requirements. Funded organizations must follow all federally required guidelines associated with these ARPA funds, including the Treasury's final rule, as supplemented by the Treasury's frequently asked questions, guidance, and the program's recipient compliance and reporting responsibilities, as well as any future applicable rules and guidance that comes out. Additionally, expenses paid by ARPA funds cannot also be paid by other funds.
So with all that information, how do you apply? Well, we here at King County use a third-party online application called Zoom Grants. Right here is the direct link to the RFP, which we can also put in the chat. When you're in Zoom Grants, you'll click on Ready to Apply. Please respond to all questions under each tab. Make sure that they are complete and you respond to all parts of the question. There are also a couple of sections where you will upload, such as resumes, supplemental information, your work plan and budget, and those will get uploaded under the Documents tab in Zoom Grants. And again, any questions, you can email me either through the admin tab in Zoom Grants or to this email address, dchscontracts@kingcounty.gov, and I will respond to your questions. Again, to go over the timelines, applications must be received via Zoom Grants no later than 2 p.m. on November 3rd. Please regularly check Zoom Grants for any updates or clarifications, including amendments, and all questions and answers received from today and by email will also be posted under the Library tab in Zoom Grants. If you're experiencing any technical issues with Zoom Grants, please email me right away, or you can submit a ticket directly to Zoom Grants for assistance. They're usually pretty responsive and get back to you right away. But please do not wait till the very last minute to submit your applications in case there are technical issues. Please allow sufficient time so that we can resolve any technical difficulties or have another way to submit your application before the deadline. Here at DCHS, we do offer capacity building supports to all of our awarded contractors. So we just like to let everyone know that this is available. It's outside third-party consultants that may be able to help you, work with you to improve your internal processes or develop skills such as accounting practices, IT, grant writing. There's a whole list. Smaller organizations will be prioritized. However, it is open to all of our awarded contractors. So if that is something you're interested in, you can submit a request form at our grant assistance capacity building link, and is contained right there. It's also in the RFP, and we can also post it on the amendment with this slide deck. So again, if we have any questions, please feel free to email me at dchscontracts@keenecounty.gov or through the admin tab in Zoom Grants.
Are there any additional questions from anyone?